For more than 2,000 years, the Battle of Thermopylae has been remembered as the greatest last stand in history. According to the legend, just 300 Spartan warriors faced an unstoppable Persian army of millions, fighting to the last man for the freedom of Greece. It's one of the most famous stories ever told. But how much of it is actually true? Were there really only 300 defenders? Was the Persian army truly that enormous? And did the battle unfold the way movies and popular history have portrayed it? Modern archaeology, ancient sources, and decades of historical research tell a far more fascinating story. In this documentary, we'll separate myth from reality and uncover what really happened at Thermopylae in 480 BC. In 480 BC, the Persian Empire ruled over the largest territory the world had ever seen. From Egypt to Central Asia, King Xerxes commanded enormous wealth, vast resources, and an army drawn from dozens of different peoples. His goal was clear: crush the Greek city-states that had dared resist his father years earlier and bring all of Greece under Persian rule. Facing such overwhelming power, the divided Greek world had little hope of victory in an open battle. Instead, a small alliance of city-states searched for a place where numbers would matter less than discipline, training, and terrain. Their choice would become one of the most famous locations in military history, the narrow pass of Thermopylae. Almost everyone knows the phrase, the 300 Spartans. But this is one of the biggest myths in ancient history. Leonidas did bring 300 elite Spartan citizens, yet they were only a small part of the Greek force. Modern historians estimate that between 7,000 and 8,000 Greek soldiers initially defended Thermopylae. They came from many different city-states, including Thespiae, Thebes, Corinth, Phocis, Arcadia, and others. Each contingent had its own leaders, equipment, and responsibilities. Without these allies, the defense of the pass would have collapsed almost immediately. The legend remembers only Sparta, but the real battle was fought by a coalition of Greeks standing together against a common enemy. The famous image of exactly 300 Spartans standing alone is one of history's greatest misconceptions. Leonidas did lead 300 Spartan citizens, but they were accompanied by thousands of allied Greek soldiers when the battle began. Even during the final stand, the Spartans were not completely alone. Around 700 Thespians chose to remain and fight to the death beside them, while many others had already held the pass for 2 exhausting days. The legend of 300 against the world became popular because it was simple and unforgettable. The historical reality is even more remarkable. Thermopylae was a story of sacrifice shared by many Greek city-states, not by Sparta alone. Why did the Greeks choose Thermopylae? The answer was geography. In 480 BC, the pass was far narrower than it appears today. On one side rose steep mountains, while on the other the sea came almost to the cliffs, leaving only a narrow strip of land for an army to pass. Here, the Persians could not fully use their numerical advantage, cavalry, or surround the Greek line. The battlefield forced thousands of attackers into a confined space where only a limited number of soldiers could fight at the same time. Leonidas understood that discipline and heavy hoplite armor would be most effective in such conditions. Thermopylae was not chosen by chance. It was one of the strongest defensive positions in all of Greece. When the battle began, Xerxes expected a quick victory. For 4 days, according to Herodotus, he waited, believing the Greeks would either surrender or retreat. When they refused, wave after wave of Persian infantry advanced into the narrow pass. But the confined terrain prevented the Persians from surrounding the defenders or bringing their full strength to bear. The Greek hoplite phalanx, protected by heavy bronze armor, large shields, and long spears, repeatedly drove the attackers back. Even Xerxes' elite immortals failed to break the line. It was not because the Persians lacked courage, but because Thermopylae had turned their greatest advantage, their numbers, into a serious disadvantage. One of the most enduring myths about Thermopylae is the size of the Persian army. Ancient Greek sources, especially Herodotus, described an invasion force numbering in the millions. For centuries, those figures were repeated without question. Today, however, most historians reject them as impossible. Supplying millions of soldiers with food and water across such distances would have been beyond the capabilities of the ancient world. Based on logistics, archaeology, and the geography of the invasion route, modern estimates usually range between 100,000 and perhaps 200,000 troops. That was still an enormous army, one of the largest ever assembled in antiquity, but far smaller than the legendary numbers that became part of popular culture. For 2 days, the Greeks held the pass. Then everything changed. A local man named Ephialtes revealed a little-known mountain path that bypassed the Greek position. Guided by local knowledge, a Persian force marched through the night and reached the heights behind Leonidas. Contrary to popular legend, the path itself was not a secret. Greek Phocian troops had been assigned to guard it, but they were surprised by the Persian advance and forced to withdraw. At dawn, Leonidas realized his army was about to be surrounded. The battle for the pass was effectively over. The final stand that followed was no longer about victory, but about buying precious time for the rest of Greece. The sacrifice at Thermopylae was not a meaningless defeat. Militarily, the Persians captured the pass, but strategically, the battle achieved far more than many people realize. The Greek resistance delayed Xerxes' advance, gave other city-states valuable time to prepare their defenses, and strengthened the determination of the Greek alliance. At the same time, the Greek fleet fought the Persians at nearby Artemisium, coordinating its withdrawal with the events at Thermopylae. Only weeks later, Athens was evacuated before the Persians arrived, preserving much of its population. The following year, united Greek forces would defeat Xerxes' army at Plataea and destroy much of the Persian fleet at Mycale. Thermopylae became the turning point that inspired Greece to continue fighting instead of surrendering. So what is the real legacy of Thermopylae? The greatest myth is not that 300 Spartans fought bravely. They certainly did. The real myth is that they fought alone, faced millions of Persians, or single-handedly saved Greece. Modern research paints a richer and more inspiring picture. Thousands of Greek allies stood together. The Persian army, though enormous, was far smaller than ancient writers claimed. Geography, discipline, and cooperation shaped the battle as much as individual heroism. Thermopylae was not the victory of one city over one empire. It was the story of a coalition willing to sacrifice everything for a common cause. And perhaps that truth is even more powerful than the legend that has survived for more than 24 centuries. History often becomes more powerful when we strip away the myths. Thermopylae was never just the story of 300 Spartans. It was the story of thousands of Greeks who stood together, of careful strategy, difficult choices, and extraordinary courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The legend inspired generations, but the historical reality is even more remarkable because it belongs to many people whose names are often forgotten. As new archaeological discoveries and historical research continue to reshape our understanding of the ancient world, one lesson remains unchanged. The closer we look at the evidence, the more fascinating history becomes. If you enjoy documentaries that separate historical fact from popular myth, subscribe and join us as we uncover the real stories behind history's greatest legends.